everyone or most of you would probably already know about yo in the Korean language or the Hangukko. Yo is what you attach at the end of the sentence to make it more polite. There's a lot more to that, but I'm not going to discuss that because I'm not an expert of the Korean language, number one. And number two, that's not really the purpose of this video. I just want to provide everybody an idea on how different some of the Asian languages actually, the nuance of some of the Asian languages to make things more polite or to make a sentence more polite. So for Korean, if you attach a yo at the end of the sentence, it makes it more polite. So if you want to say hello to somebody, you say annyeonghaseyo. If that's if you want to be more polite, or if you're addressing somebody that's older or higher in stature socially, and then if it's just a friend or somebody the same age, you can just say annyeong. Okay. Now in the Philippines, we also do have an equivalent to the yo, which is a po. And then opo. Opo is actually yes, a polite way of saying yes. So if somebody older is asking you a question, for example, your mom or your uncle or your aunt, or just somebody older, and you want to say yes, then you say opo. Now, if you want to say no, it's hindi, and then you attach the word po at the end. So hindi po. So for example, if they ask you, is this yours? And you want to say no, then you can say hindi po. If your sister or your brother is not much older than you are, then you can drop the po and just say hindi. Now, Korean says yo, and then the Philippines is po. And then the Japanese also has their own equivalent of that, which is desu, the word desu. So if you attach that at the end of the sentence, it becomes more polite. So for example, some of my friends actually taught me how to say, if I see them, what to say if I see them again for the first time in a long time, or just, you know, if we meet or see each other, then it's konnichiwa, genki desu ka. Konnichiwa o genki desu ka. That means, hi, have you been well? And they also said I can also say Hisashiburu desu, which means it's been a long time since I last saw you, or it's been a long time actually. That's a translation, but I actually use the ogenki desu ka more often. So adding the word desu makes it more polite. Now their language, the polite language, is actually has 3 levels. I would say it's actually called Keigo, their polite language, and then it has, I would say, 3 different levels. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it. So they have before I proceed, if I'm pronouncing things correct, the words incorrectly, please do correct me. I am trying. Before I do videos like this, I actually consult them, but you know how it is, like when they're teaching you, you know when you get it, and then they go and you forget everything. So, but I do try, so please, if I'm not pronouncing these words correctly, no disrespect, I am trying, and please do correct me so I can learn, and maybe even others, they can also learn as well. So Keigo is actually divided into 3 levels. One is the Teineigo, which is the polite language, the general polite language. And then Sonkeigo is the respectful language you use to people that are superior in stature, or someone that is really much older, or in a formal setting. And then Kenjogo is when if you want to address yourself or others in your group, like family members, and you want it to be more polite. It's actually like a humble language. So yeah, so the general practice is, if you want to make it more polite, you use the word desu at the end of your sentence. But again, it's a lot more complicated than that, but that's just an example. So if you want to say hello, as my friends taught me, Japanese friends taught me, konnichiwa o genki, konnichiwa o genki desu ka. And if you hisashiburu desu, which is, it's been a long while. So there's also a way for them to attach a suffix to a verb, to a word, to make it a verb, a polite verb. But they did say that it's actually the default of the Japanese language. So look at the dictionary form of a word. So for example, wake up. Okiro is the word for wake up. If you want to make it a verb, then you attach the suffix masu. So okimasu, which means wake up, then that becomes the polite way of saying the word wake up. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. Okay. And then so for the Vietnamese, they have the word a. And a is again the word that you attach at the end of the sentence to make it more polite. So for example, if you want to say yes in a polite way, yes I think is ko. So if you want to say yes in a polite way, you say koa. But their a has to be short and the word should be, and the tone should go down. So koa instead of koa. I hope I got it right. So koa, not koa. So if you want to say no, I think it's chi a. And then if you want to make it polite, you say chia a. And then for the Thais, it's one of my favorite cities, favorite countries actually in general. They have ka and Krup. So it's ka for women and Krup for men. So for example, if you want to say how have you been or how are you in Thailand, you can actually say sabay dimay. But to make it polite, and if you're a woman, then you say sibay dimay ka. And then for men, it's sibay dimay ko. I hope I said those words correctly. So those are some of the some of the Asian languages that I know the nuances of to make the sentences more polite. I don't necessarily speak those languages. I am trying to study Korean, because of the pandemic. So I tried doing self-study. Doesn't work for me. I need to be in a classroom. And of course, because of the pandemic and the classes were suspended and everything is offline. And then of course, there are some work stuff that I got to do. It's taking away time for me for my lessons. I also wanted to study Japanese as well. But yeah, it's really interesting to sort of understand the nuances of the Asian language. It's so diverse, so different, so unique. And it's driving me crazy, but it's such a pleasure understanding all the cultures and all the languages. And I hope you found it as interesting as I did. Thanks.